After 74 cruises, I've realised that I don't cruise like other people, and it's actually made it much more enjoyable. When I first started cruising solo about 4 years ago, I joined the solo meetup groups, and I thought I had to join in everything to enjoy the cruise, but I realised that I wasn't really enjoying that. But of course, we all have different personalities. Don't get me wrong, I love meeting all kinds of different people, but I also like my own quiet space as well. One thing I did on one cruise on a transatlantic, we had lots of sea days. I don't know how many. You typically get about 6 sea days, but I was on a cruise that went directly from Miami to Southampton. And that's a lot of sea days. So I did go to the meetup groups. But anyway, I decided I'd been to lots of solo meetings, but I found myself stopping going for dinner because I don't like constant togetherness. The only time I like constant togetherness is with a romantic partner. It's just something I enjoy. But for friendships, I don't. And I don't know if that makes me unusual or if lots of people are like that. I'm really not sure. Speaking to a friend this morning, I think it's actually more people than I realised. But yeah, when I'm with other people with different personalities, I need time to recharge on my own. So anyway, on this long transatlantic cruise, I set up a Facebook group for people on the cruise who were sociable introverts. And that was kind of the best term I could come up with. And it actually worked really well. First of all, I did one meetup, and there were probably about 20 people turned up. But then even that was tricky because there were 20 of us, so nobody was really saying much. But what I did do from there was I arranged an afternoon tea for sociable introverts. So there was always afternoon tea on the ship. It was in the observatory lounge. I just arranged for sociable introverts to meet together. Now, from that first group, some people already met their people and they used to go for dinner and spend time together, and that was absolutely great. But four, five, six of us used to regularly come to the afternoon tea. But there were 4 of us that were there every time, and we'd sometimes arrange to go for dinner. Sometimes some of us would, sometimes all of us would. And that was really nice because there was no pressure. And it was interesting because one lady came, she wasn't sure if she was a sociable introvert or not. So she came to one of our afternoon teas and she said, "You don't always talk, do you?" And I said, "No." I said, "We're really comfortable with silence." And she said, "Oh," she says, "I don't think I am a sociable introvert." And then there was another cruise I was on, and I met some ladies, and 4 of us went for dinner one evening, and we were just talking, and I was explaining about what I'd done with the afternoon tea on the other ship. And we were all very similar in that we liked a lot of our own company, but we also liked to maybe have dinner together. So what we decided to do, we agreed that we would meet at 7 every evening in one of the bars. And then anybody who wanted a pre-dinner drink could have one, but we'd meet at 7 and whoever was there would go for dinner. And if you didn't turn up, no problem, just come the next night or whenever again. And I did actually go on an excursion with one of these ladies. We went swimming with whales. This was in French Polynesia, in Moorea, I think it was. But other than that, we spent most of our time on our own during the day. And sometimes we might be on the ship and we'd bump into one of the 4 and we'd say, "Oh, do you fancy having a coffee?" And we'd sit down and have a coffee. But there was no pressure, no obligation. And it worked really, really well. And I've just been chatting with a friend of mine who I also met on a cruise. And she and I met on the sun lounges. And she already had these groups of solos that she'd been going for dinner with. And I never went to the solo meetup on that cruise. She was just saying how she finds cruising tricky because she gets involved at the solo meetups, but then she feels obligated because she's avoiding going on cruises right now because she's finding herself getting caught up in something she doesn't want to necessarily be a part of. She said that would be ideal for her as well, and she thinks that there's probably a lot of people out there who experience the same. So I just thought I'd share it in case it's something that might have put you off cruising. I'm in Alison today in Norway, which is one of my favourite places. I mean, honestly, every place I go to in Norway, there isn't one I don't like. And I love just walking around these places on my own. I don't need company. I know sometimes people feel safer, and if if you haven't cruised before or if you're not cruised much, then it's really good to go out with people, meet friends on the ship, and get off together so you know you can be walking around a town comfortable with who you're with. And many people feel safer doing that, and that's definitely a good thing. I like to spend the time on my own, if I'm honest. Occasionally I'll go out with somebody, but not very often. Thank goodness we're all different. A really lovely little town with the port right there, so it's literally a 5-minute walk into town. Alicent is an easy town to walk around, but there's that little train or a ho-ho bus if that's your preference. Can't say. Thanks for joining me in Alicent, Norway today. I'm Cari, and this is Flip Flops and Cowboy Boots. Cruises. So here I am in beautiful Ålesund in Norway today, one of my favourite little towns. Cute tourist train on its way back to the port. Well, it turned out to be a pretty nice day for us today. Can't say I've ever seen a Viking. And here we are back at the ship.